The rain fell in relentless sheets, soaking the ground and turning the sprawling lawns of the Whitmore estate into slick fields of mud. The mansion itself loomed tall and imposing, its cream walls and towering windows glowing faintly against the storm-darkened sky. It was a symbol of wealth, privilege, and a lifestyle beyond most people's reach. Yet beneath the shadow of a massive oak tree, directly in front of that grand home, sat an elderly couple huddled together in the downpour. Their clothes were drenched, their hair plastered to their skin, their tired eyes closed from sheer exhaustion. All they had left in the world was each other. And, even that bond seemed fragile under the merciless storm. That was the moment Alexander Whitmore, the millionaire owner of the estate, stepped out of his sleek black car. He froze mid-step, his polished shoes splashing in the puddles as his gaze fixed on the heartbreaking scene. His chest tightened. This was not something he ever expected to find outside his gates of luxury. An old man and woman, frail and broken by life, collapsed in the rain beside a battered suitcase spilling faded photos and worn letters into the mud. If you believe in kindness, in redemption, and in the power of compassion to change lives, take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps carry these stories of hope even further. For a long moment, Alexander couldn't move. For all his wealth, he had never been confronted with suffering so raw, so immediate. The old man leaned heavily against the tree, his lined face smeared with dirt, barely able to hold himself upright. The woman's thin dress clung to her fragile frame, as she rested her head on his shoulder, lips parted as though too weak to speak. Their hands, trembling in the cold rain, were still intertwined. Alexander's eyes drifted back to the suitcase. A black and white photograph of the couple in their youth, smiling, full of promise. A bundle of love letters, edges curled with time. A frayed blanket, now useless against the storm. The sight pierced him deeply. These were not nameless strangers. They were people who had dreamed, who had built a life, only to see it crumble. He thought of his own journey. He had built his empire with grit, shrewd deals, and relentless ambition. But in doing so, he had hardened, learning to ignore pain unless it touched him directly. Yet here, suffering was no longer distant. It was on his front lawn, close enough for him to see raindrops sliding from their fingers. Memories he had long buried resurfaced. Hunger, struggle, his mother working through endless nights, his father collapsing after grueling shifts. Poverty nearly breaking his own family apart. A sudden, painful realization struck he. This couple could have been his parents, had fate turned differently. At last, Alexander moved. His expensive suit clung to him as he dropped to a crouch beside the couple, his voice cracking as he called to them. The old man stirred weakly, confusion in his eyes. The woman's grip on his hand tightened desperately, as if terrified of losing him. They were exhausted, starved, and clearly had walked farther than their frail bodies could endure. Alexander barked orders to his staff. Blankets, hot drinks, immediate help. His pristine driveway became the ground for a rescue, as he gently lifted them, his arms steadying their fragile forms. Each step toward the mansion felt like a vow. Wealth meant nothing if it could not be used to lift others. Within the warmth of the grand house, the couple slowly revived. Their names were Martha and Henry. They had lost their modest home after falling behind on payments. With nowhere to turn, they wandered through the storm, carrying only that old suitcase filled with family memories, of children long grown and long absent. Their bodies had simply given out when they reached Whitmore's gates. As Alexander listened, his chest ached. He thought of his estranged brother, with whom he hadn't spoken in years after a bitter inheritance feud. He remembered the family gatherings he had skipped for business, the times he had chosen wealth over compassion. Henry and Martha's story was not just tragedy. It was a warning of what happens when love and family bonds are abandoned. Over the following days, Alexander made sure they had everything they needed. Doctors checked their health. Fresh clothes replaced their wet rags. Warm meals filled their empty stomachs. Slowly, their strength and dignity returned. Martha's tired eyes began to sparkle with gratitude, and Henry's voice grew stronger as he spoke of days when he had once provided for his family. But it wasn't only Martha and Henry who were changing. Alexander, too, began to soften. He spent less time buried in work and more time with the couple, listening to their stories, learning from their resilience. With them, he rediscovered something long lost: the truth that compassion outweighs ambition, and human connection holds more value than any fortune. In time, Henry and Martha were ready to move into a small cottage Alexander had purchased for them near his estate. Modest, but safe. Humble, but theirs. When he handed them the keys, Martha's hands trembled as she whispered her thanks, her voice breaking with emotion. Henry laid a hand on Alexander's shoulder, his tear-filled eyes expressing more than words ever could. As Alexander returned to his mansion, the storm had passed, replaced by golden sunlight. For the first time in years, he felt a peace no wealth had ever given him. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your engagement helps spread these reminders of love, hope, and second chances. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What's one act of kindness someone has shown you that you will never forget? Share your story in the comments below.